Welcome to When Nerds Learn to Fly. If you've been watching my vlogs, you know that my channel is about the places that I find inspiration, those things that make me feel alive. Today is no different. It's going to be a little bit more difficult for me to talk about because I'm going to be talking about something a little bit closer to my heart today. And since my vlogs started off with me talking about my career and subsequent quitting of my job as a show finisher and artist prep support at Disney's Animal Kingdom, I will start with that. These are prized positions across property. There are not a lot of them, only 15. It helps to have an edge. Well, when I applied for the job at Disney's Animal Kingdom, Expedition Everest had just opened and they had the Yeti. And I knew that their artist prep team would be taking care of the spandex and fur, so they needed someone that could sew. Their team currently didn't have anyone with sewing experience, and so that was definitely something that I promoted during the interview process and on my resume. This is where my inspiration comes in. The person that taught me to sew was my Mam-maw. When I was a little girl, my family was kind of loud and the house was always active. The one place that I had sanctuary was at my Mam-maw's house. So I'd spend a lot of weekends, I'd spend the night over there. They were my go-to place to find my own sanity even as a child. It was my Mam-maw who taught me to sew at like 4 or 5 years old. She is an amazing seamstress. She does quilting. She also sewed most of my clothes as I was growing up. She actually sewed my wedding dress. She just is extremely talented, and I think she probably had been sewing since she was 4 or 5. So she was the one who taught me to sew. The reason why I'm talking about this today is she's 101 years old, and my father called a little over a week ago to let me know that they were going to put her in hospice comfort care. I am faced with the reality that very soon my Mam-maw may not be in my life here on earth. It's pretty tough for me because she's more than my Mam-maw. She is a good friend. I'm sorry. She's a very good friend. I know that at 101, our age differences, you say, what could you possibly have in common? But I can sit down and talk to her about anything and everything. She has this wonderful sense of humor. She is so very kind. She can be straightforward and honest with people, but she does it in such a kind and respectful way, and it's something that we're so missing in society today. It's either you're straightforward and says it like it is, or you're overly sensitive. It's like we've gotten rid of some of the courtesies. So having that piece in my life in this world has been so important to me. She is this amazing, strong, and independent woman. My grandfather passed away many years ago, so she has been living on her own since then. She had no desire to remarry. So she lived in her house until she was 100 years old, just, supporting herself and being on her own. With some help from my father. And due to not her own health, but due to some responsibilities that my dad had, she went ahead and moved into assisted living to try and help him out. She has never shown her age. She was cooking Sunday dinners for the entire family until she was 97 years old. I think that was about the time that she broke her hip, and at that time we wrote her off, thinking that she wasn't going to recover from that, and she did marvelously. A few years later, she had problems with an ulcer that they couldn't find, and she was losing blood, and no one knew from where, and we wrote her off again there. So I don't want to write her off this time, but there is a reality to be faced that she may not make it through this one. It's hard to say how someone like that has such an influence on you. She has so many stories. To be 101 years old, she's been around to see cars, then the space shuttle. She's seen radio go to television, go to cell phones, and she's maintained the ability to keep up with all of it. She's extremely intelligent and has a beautiful vocabulary, probably from crosswords. You would constantly find her with crosswords or Sudoku. Her intelligence level is just fantastic. She's kept her mind sharp. And up until recently, physically, she has been in great health. Always walked everywhere, because at 16 years old, she backed her dad's Model T out of the driveway and backed into something and never drove again since. So she walked everywhere. Once she moved into assisted living at 100 years old, I could never get a hold of her because she was always out playing dominoes with her friends or out socializing with everyone. My Mam-maw has always accepted me for who I am, even though I'm a little different from the rest of my family, even though I've chosen different paths, even though I moved so far away. She has always been supportive of me, and I don't know that there's anyone else in the world that makes me quite feel so accepted and so loved. How do you deal with the emotion of losing someone like that? And I'm so torn on what to feel. For myself, I feel so selfish because I want her to be around forever. But for her, I can't imagine living to 101, having to deal with the changes in the world, having to deal with your physical changes, having to deal with being in the hospital. So it's selfish of me to want her to stick around, but I am sad to think of my life without her. At the same time, I want what's best for her. I'm struggling with how I feel and my emotions. I'll get through this. What's life going to be like without that fantastic influence in my life? I guess I realize she is always going to be with me. She's the reason why I am who I am. I am so thankful to have her in my life. The baby bunnies that showed up at our house that we're fostering, I'm halfway wondering if she didn't have something to do with that, because the baby bunnies showed up 2 days before she went into hospice. And I wonder if she was trying to give me something to nurture since I couldn't be there to nurture her. The rest of my family is there, and they're able to be there to support her. In some ways I feel bad because I feel like I'm selfish for being here, but they're saying right now that she isn't necessarily coherent. Fortunately for me, the last time I talked to her, she was the exact same Mam-maw. That's who I want to remember. I don't want to destroy that by seeing her in a state that is not like her. But at the same time, I feel very, very selfish because I know the rest of my family is dealing with that right now, and how hard it must be for them. I'm going to still try to do my vlogs on Sunday, but if I miss a few of them, this will be why I'm missing them. I'm not sure what emotional state I'm going to be in. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, please go ahead and comment below. If you enjoy my open, honest blogs, which this one's kind of tough, if you enjoy my open, honest blogs, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I am going to continue to try to post blogs on Sundays. I may be posting from Missouri because I may have to go home to Missouri. But I hope to see you all again. I hope to see you next week. And thank you for stopping by. Bye, guys.
Always an adventure.
Yeah, that's us.